Hi everybody, I'm Steve McDonald and this is your Investors Daily Edge midweek market update. In focus today, the tech sector, fiber optics, the SEC, an update on oil and gold, and the best slap in the face award yet. First, the tech sector. If you own a TV and watch anything related to money on it, you know the tech sector is hot. But if you're like me, that doesn't mean much. That's really not usable information. The tech sector is hot. So what? But the CFO of Intel was interviewed Tuesday on Squawk Box, and he added some real meat to why and where this sector is going. This might have been one of the best interviews I've seen in a long time. He wasn't the most exciting guy in the world, but he knew what he was talking about. He listed 3 reasons why Intel and the rest of the tech sector are doing very well and will continue to do well. First, corporate PC sales have been up for almost all of 2009. Now, this isn't, the $500 and $600 PC that we can buy. They're paying big money for these things. These are the business style computers. Next, server sales. If you don't know what a server is, suffice to say it's a very expensive part of a company's information system. Server sales are up in the second half of 2009. Very good sign. And the whole tech sector is being driven by video of all types online on computers. There are reasons for this sector to be hot and why you should be looking at it. Intel is something you should also look at based on the numbers the CFO is throwing around. But let's talk about video. All online video is dependent on fiber optics, and this looks like it's going to be a big undiscovered part of the new tech sector run. Now, I've talked about this before on this program. In the early 2000s, we had more available bandwidth, which is another way of measuring how much data you can send over the internet, and video eats up a lot of bandwidth. We had more bandwidth than we could use in the next 20 years. Surprise, it's all gone. As video has taken over phones and computers, the huge excess of bandwidth is gone. We are actually in a bandwidth shortage in the larger markets. Fiber optics is the only efficient method of transmitting the mountain of data that online video requires, and that's where we can make some real money in the next few years. Search fiber optics on Google. There are lots of companies out there working this area. Now, obviously, Corning is the big dog in this industry, but there are lots of smaller companies that are going to impact this market. Take a look at fiber optics. Okay, an update on oil and gold. The sell-off we saw this week is a buying opportunity in both oil and gold. There is some talk about a 1 million barrel a day drop in demand because of the grounding of all of the aircraft in Europe and the aircraft that are supposed to be flying from here to Europe and everywhere else in the world to Europe. It sounds reasonable, but it will not change the long-term picture of oil and the worldwide demand for it. The Sound Profits option play on oil is in a buy range again. Excuse me. Remember, I record this late Tuesday afternoon. It was around 5:30. If you want to add to your position, you can. There was also a buy on about 5 different stocks in the Sound Profit portfolio when the sell-off happened on Friday. I hope you were lucky enough to capitalize on it. Next, the SEC. The world markets went into a 2-day shock and recovery cycle after the SEC announced they were charging Goldman Sachs with fraud. How convenient. 1 day before Barack Obama is supposed to be in New York selling his financial regulations reform bill, and 1 week before the bill is due to hit the floor of Congress, and the report has been sitting on the desk of an SEC official since December. Why are they doing it now? That's what you should be asking yourself. Barney Frank, and of course we all trust Barney Frank, said in an interview Monday morning that it's unfair to call the SEC political, but these charges would help pass the president's financial regulation reform bill. How convenient. The press and media, with only a few exceptions, have lined up behind good old Obama, and they've continued their course of not asking any hard questions or even questioning the timing of these charges. The SEC split right down party lines on their decision to go ahead with these charges, which only happens, by the way, 10% of the time. 90% of all decisions by the FCC are unanimous. And the only explanation I've heard for the split that makes any sense came from a former SEC attorney. She said they must have disagreed about the timing. Unbelievable. The financial regulation bill amounts to more regulation on top of existing regulations that were never enforced, and this type of government overreaction leads me to our slap in the face award for this week. This week award goes to Mr. Obama himself, and there may actually be some, sort of good news here. You be the judge whether it's good or not. Mr. Obama, I heard him on National Public Radio. I don't know where else the interview was presented, but this week he was talking about a new realization that he's had. This is amazing. This is his realization. The people of this country don't trust this government. It isn't his ideas they don't like. This is what he said. It's their lack of trust in the government that's causing problems with him getting his agenda through. What, is he kidding? Is he assuming we're so stupid we can't see through this farce? We don't trust the government, he's right, and for good reason, which I'll get to in a minute, and we don't like his ideas either. The vast majority of Americans don't like them, period. They are fiscally insane and have nothing to do with American values or what made this country what it is. Now, why do we not trust the government? Gee, I can't think of about 15 reasons. The U.S. government has bankrupted everything it has ever touched, including this country as a whole. Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. How about the tax system? That's a real beauty, isn't it? Its fairness and ease of use would foster confidence in anyone, and I'm being sarcastic. Our unfunded liabilities are $72 trillion, and Obama just added a whole new one with magic accounting in the form of health care. Barack Obama is somebody who has never worked outside of a university setting, and his only job, other than a few months as a senator, was as an organizer for ACORN. Yes, the famous ACORN, which has since been shut down. He is only now realizing what is really happening out here in the real world, and this realization is the only good news. We don't trust the government for damn good reason, and this president's ideas are driving us into a hole we may not get out of without a currency and a debt crisis. And it will take years to unwind the harm he's already done. His level of inexperience, not just in government, but in life as a whole, is a huge national liability. We don't trust the government. Now that's big news, isn't it? Hurry, November. For the Investors Daily Edge and everybody behind the scene, I'm Steve McDonald. We'll see you Friday in the Weekend Wrap-Up.